All right. So we're back. I've got Stevie J here. Stevie, I was telling the audience that due to some storms, you were having some technical difficulties, but we're lucky to have you on. First of all, Stevie, thanks so much for taking time out of your day to talk to everybody. We really appreciate it. Maybe you could talk just for, a minute or 30 seconds or a minute. Just talk a little bit about kind of what you're working on, what you're excited about. Just give people a little update as to kind of stuff that you're doing.
Well, first of all, Happy New Year to everyone, and, Happy New Year to you, Eric. And I'm just excited about a few things right now I got going on. The first thing I have going on is a music score, the Florence Ballard project. It's very, 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 it's very new for me to score a film, but, it's something I always wanted to do. I have a new artist by the name of b.i.g. I have an artist by the name of Eddie Raplice, who's a skateboarder, professional skateboarder, and a surfer. I'm just excited about music again. It feels like I'm new in the game. I just feel fresh, and my daughter can vouch for that. She's excited in the background.
That's great, man. That's great. So let's talk. So Stevie, you obviously, I've sat with you and I've had the privilege of being able to hang out while you played. I mean, you're a multi-instrumentalist, you're a songwriter, you're a producer, you're a performer. You've spent, your whole life in music, and you're obviously, you work with a lot of upcoming artists. Tell everybody a little bit about what do you look for in a new artist when you're looking to, do a development deal or you're looking to work for a new artist. What kinds of musical or non-musical things do you look for?
Well, musical is always good, but, the first thing I look for is the is really delivers that feeling to me, or I feel that emotion when they sing or they write or they play. As a new artist, I really would love some instrumentalists, some musicians, but if the voice and the passion moves me, I'm all in. I can make it happen with the passion, but it definitely has to be, something fresh for me. I don't want the gimmick artists as being themselves, as opposed to them, trying to be someone that they're not.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean?
So, yeah, so an artist being authentic, being real, that's really important.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because then you can extract the more out of that than than trying to be someone else. You never know what you're gonna get. You need that authenticity, that
Right.
stamp. Right.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, I think I'm really happy that you made that point, Stevie, because a lot of what we talk about when we do we do at Music 180, we do a lot of live events at like music schools and things like that. And one of the things that I'm always telling people is that, rather than trying to chase somebody else's sound or chase somebody else's image, you got to find your own voice. In your experience, what is that process like? Because I've had a lot of artists say, well, I understand what you're saying, but how do I find my own voice? Like, how do I figure out who I am and what I stand for? Have you ever had to deal with that, like with an artist?
Yeah, absolutely. But as a new artist, that comes with trial and error. It's a rarity that you'll find a Jimi Hendrix off the first record. I mean, it's like, artist has to really find themselves, and by that requires doing a lot of tracks, doing a lot of writing, and just studying yourself. You have to really, um, dissect yourself as an artist or as a musician. You don't really want to, it's not going to happen overnight. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not going to happen overnight. It really takes time, and it takes patience, man. Trial and error is definitely the way to go.
Yeah, yeah. That's interesting. You said that because a lot of artists that I've known over the years have said, oh, look at so and so. They just, recently they were like, hey, look at Drake, or look at Katy Perry, or look at these people that just broke overnight. And we always say, that's an overnight success story that took years and years to create. It's a lot of finding yourself, and that's a lot of what we're focused on at Music 180 is helping aspiring producers and artists find and work with people like you who can give them the guidance and be mentors and help them down that path of artist development.
Well, absolutely. And today, I like a lot of the music, and then again, I don't like some of it. It all comes with artist development. Right now, I'm a producer, and here at Music 180, we really specialize in um, um, honing in and developing the artist and the talent, and that's what it's all about, Eric.
Right, right, right. I think it's really important. Tell us a little bit about um, tell us a little bit about if you know, for people that are aspiring, particularly let's say in the hip hop genre, since we're focusing this on hip hop, for people that want to be in hip hop as either producers, or they don't just want to be artists, they want to do, you know, some of like what you do. Um, how do you approach writing new music? Does it start with beats? Is that something you collaborate on? Is that something you do yourself? Like, how would you recommend to people who want to, you know, do what you're doing? How should they approach it?
Well, there's different ways to approach it. It would be great through Music 180 if Eric, if we can find some aspiring producers. I'm always up to collab. You know, it usually starts with emotion with me. How I'm feeling when I walk inside the studio dictates the energy that the music is going to bring. Just say, for instance, I leave the club and go to the studio. Of course, I'm going to make a club record. I might leave a meeting and some thoughts might be on my mind. It might be a symphonic track. But it all starts with how I'm feeling. But, you know, as we're here on Music 180, we hopefully we can find some great producers or aspiring writers and artists, and we can definitely make a big collaboration here.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. So talk a little bit about, you know, especially maybe with some of the artists that you've been working with, how important do you think radio is today to an upcoming hip hop artist?
I believe radio is very important to a hip hop artist, but at the same time, he or she has to lay the groundwork, and have to hit the mixtape circuit and have to have these DJs familiar with who you are, and they have to know that you're a serious artist, a one to be reckoned with before you can make it to the radio. I mean, I'm not gonna sit up here and fabricate it like, all right, you make a good record, it's going on the radio. It doesn't really work like that. You have to make a name for yourself as a hip hop artist. That's just the way it goes, Henry.
Right, right, absolutely, absolutely. So you'd say focus, and a lot of what we tell upcoming artists is focus on, first and foremost, focus on your songs, then focus on the production, then focus on your image, and until you've got those things down, and you've had some help, hopefully by pros like you, then start worrying about playing live or radio or marketing yourself. But first, you got to get the right music down there.
Absolutely. And we go back to the trial and error. You can't give up. It has to be a point where you just say you want to push forward and advance your skills and take it to the next level. And that comes along with, I use this terminology, Eric, steel sharpens steel. Here at Music 180, there are a lot of great people here, and that's what makes Music 180 a great company, because everyone adds a little fuel to a fire, if I may say. So you must work with people that can bring the best out of you. And that's how you can really create
Right.
a hit record as well.
Okay, great. Hey, Stevie, if you can see up on the screen there, we've got an audience question. When submitting beats to established artists, or for instance, if someone submits a beat to you, do you expect those beats to be like finished, or can they kind of be more rough? Uh-oh. Well, I think that we may have just lost Stevie. Sorry, guys. We're going to have to hold on a second while we get Stevie back. I am going to... I'm going to field this question because we get that. I've heard a lot of pros answer this question. I don't want to speak for Stevie. When he gets back, he'll answer it himself as well. But when submitting beats to established artists or producers, people like that, people like Stevie, generally speaking, they don't have to be fully mixed and mastered and things like that. I think when you're shopping to a label, or you're shopping to a management company, or if you're really trying to get a development deal, then your music really has to be competitive, which is why we at Music 180 help artists get in the studio and work with producers and get their material put together in a high enough quality, especially if you want to do things like film, TV licensing. It's really important that that your music is recorded well. But if you're just submitting for like feedback, or hey, you know, here's a rough demo that I did. I didn't want to spend a lot of money yet on production or things like that, but I just want to know, do you think this is the right direction? For that kind of stuff, I'd say definitely submit as demos. If you're not going to be posting it publicly, if you're not trying to shop your stuff either to a label or management company or something like that, it can be a rough demo. And just tell them that. Like, if you submit something for a rating or a critique on Music 180, just say, hey, you know, I recorded this myself. I'm not a professional engineer, you know, producer. It's not mixed. I just want to I'm trying to develop my sound. I'm trying to develop my direction. What do you think about this? And I think that's really good, because that way you can save your money for getting stuff produced and mixed until you know that it's in the right direction, and until you've got some feedback. That's what we always, the artists that we manage, that's what we do, and that's what we tell them, is get some initial feedback, and then after you've gotten that initial feedback, then you can focus in on the songs, you know, that everybody agrees. So once Stevie comes back on, I'll get his answer as well. Paul, you asked on the chat board, for writing for other artists, what ways do you find work best to get the songs heard and recorded? Let me see. So for a songwriter to get heard and recorded. Okay, so if you're a songwriter and you're not trying to be an artist, but you're trying to get your songs to other artists, in that case, it definitely helps to get the songs recorded and mixed and mastered by someone who knows what they're doing. So just as an artist or a musician spends, you know, years learning how to master their instrument, professional engineers and producers and people that do mixing and mastering, that's an art. Those are arts unto themselves, and it takes a long time to be able to master that. And it's good to work with people like that when you're gonna send it to them. There are a couple of reasons for that, Paul. One is every once in a while, maybe not every once in a while, maybe more than that, the artist, particularly if they're moving quickly, if you submit something to them that they really like and it's recorded and the tracks are good, they might just remove the guide vocals, the demo vocals, and record their own vocals over it and use the track, which can help you sometimes get things placed. It's also easier if the song is recorded well when you're pitching to another artist. It's good because it doesn't require the manager or the A&R person or the other people that might be involved in the decision-making process. It doesn't require them to imagine what it's going to sound like if it were produced well. Now, having said that, you know, there are plenty of producers and A&R people and managers and artists that may get a song and say, you know, I really like the song, but I want to produce it, or my producer wants to produce it in their own way and in my own style, and that obviously happens a lot as well. That it just gets re-recorded, but it certainly never hurts to have good recordings when you're pitching to other people. Now, in terms of getting them heard, in terms of getting your songs, if you're a songwriter, getting those heard by the people, you got to be able to get them to the managers of the artists. You want to get them sometimes to the A&R people if they're labels. You also want to get them to the producers. The producer is oftentimes the one who's most in the studio working with the artist and has the most kind of direct relationship with the artist. I think, by the way, that Stevie is back. I'm going to try to pull Stevie in now. Stevie, you're back.
Yes, I'm back.
All right, good, man.
It's a storm over here, man. It's like
I know, man.
Really bad,
the weather is terrible everywhere. So I took a shot at answering this question, but I'd love to hear from you, and I'm sure our audience wants to hear from you. When people send you stuff like for feedback or for, you know, critiques and things like that, does it need to be fully produced, mixed and mastered, or can it be more of a rough demo?
like it fully produced, and I'd say if a producer or an artist or a songwriter is sending in these songs, look, you got to look at it like this. If someone out there really wants that song placed more better than you, so they're gonna go above and beyond. They want it mixed. They want it damn near mastered. Excuse my French. I mean, you can't play and pigeonhole your gifts and your talent by not going all out. You want to give the best record that you can give, or you shouldn't even give a record. That's just my personal opinion.
Right.
And it's a lot of people that want that spot, man. They want these placements, Eric. They want these placements.
Yep, yep, absolutely. So one of the things that I talked about a little bit, and I'd love to get your input on this, was I said, if you're pitching for licensing, you're pitching for an artist to use their song, or they're trying to get a development deal with you, it's really got, you got to go get it professionally recorded, you got to get it mixed, probably like you said, mastered. But what about if we have a lot of times we'll have an artist that'll say, hey, I'm thinking about maybe 3 different directions that I might take my music, and I just want to get your initial feedback before I go spend the money to produce it. Would it be okay in that case for them to just send you, like, for just a personal feedback before they go and spend money to get it recorded?
Well, then they have to talk to us here at Music 180, Eric. This is what we specialize in, helping these artists and the producers. Correct me if I'm wrong. They have to just reach out to us on Music 180, and I'll be sure to listen to them and give them the feedback that they need.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And I think that's one thing that's really important for our audience to understand, which is that, if you've got a budget and you want to get in, as Stevie was saying, if you're pitching to labels, if you're really trying to be taken seriously by somebody, where you're not just trying to find your initial sound, but you're trying to do it, you got to get in the studio and work with people like Stevie, who are going to take you from where you are, which might be good, but you need to be great. And like Stevie said, the competition level right now, it's really high. And we always say at Music 180, we say, if you think you want to be signed to a label, or you want to be on the radio, think of two other songs that are really hot right now, and put those in your iPod in position 1 and position 3, and then take your best song and put that in position 2, and then play them all back to back and see if your song matches up to those. Do you agree with that?
I definitely agree with it, because there's a level of standard, and the level of standard that we play on is the high standard. It's called the superior standard, and new artists and new producers, they need to know that I'm grooming talent that's coming in playing on the level of way up there. So I know if I'm doing it, there's somebody else grooming their talent to be the same way. So we don't want to play around. We want to get with guys like myself here at Music 180 and take our talent to the next plateau. Bottom line.
Yeah. And yeah, one of the things that I want to point out too, because we've got you here, and sometimes we get calls in from new members, and they'll say, hey, if I send something for Stevie to review, or if I send something for critique, am I really getting Stevie? And I want to give you the opportunity to say, yeah, man, because I know that you're getting all the stuff that comes into you. But it's good for you to tell people, like,
Absolutely.
It's you.
Well, Eric, listen, man. It's me. People, it's me. Let them know it's me. We don't do that here at Music 180. We don't do the fake profiling and all that here. It's actually me. I'm here. I'm answering all my questions. I'm listening to the music, and I'm giving honest, legitimate feedback here. And Music 180 is definitely a forum where we represent excellence here. So, you're getting me, and you're getting the rawest and the best opinion you can.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Definitely. Now, in terms of artists, Stevie, can you give the audience an idea of, we talked a little bit at the beginning that you said, I'm looking for, kind of artists that you're looking to work with in particular. It starts with the emotion, it starts with that. Are there any like particular genres? Are there any? I know that you're pretty wide ranging. I mean, obviously you've had a lot of success in hip hop, but you've got a lot of success in pop, and I know that you've done rock, and you've done I think you've done country too, right? You've done
Yes,
everything.
I have. I've worked with Keith Urban. I've written. Yeah, I've worked with Keith Urban. I've written with Garth Brooks, and look, this is a new artist that I'm working with now. I mean, the
Yeah,
genre
yeah.
is. There is not a level on the genre. The genre goes from here to, we want to be universal. Let's just say that, Eric. The artist that we're looking for is very universal. We don't have a specific
Yeah.
genre. We want country. We want rock. We want pop. We want, you know, polka. Hell, long as it's great music, that's what we want. That's what we specialize in here at Music 180.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. And I think
Does this
I
look
think
like a
that's
hip
what's
hop artist to you?
no, no, it
Does it
definitely
look
does
like
not. Tell us about this artist. Where? Tell us about this artist. Is it? Tell us a little bit about him.
Well, I'll give you a little rundown. I mean, KJ, he's a young kid. You know what I mean? He's 20 years old. He just turned 20. Well, he'll be 20 in 2 weeks. He's a pop country artist. He's a guitar player, so definitely a musician. His attitude is great. His passion, you feel his passion, and he's a lyricist. That's just a newly acquired artist. You know how we
Right,
do at Music
right.
180. It's just, you
Yeah,
never know what you'll find.
yeah. No, definitely. We've had a lot of. I think that's what's surprising to a lot of members, but it's been amazing for us to see, which is, I'd say 95% of the producers and the other pros like yourself that we have on Music 180 are all looking for new talent because they can't count on the labels finding the talent anymore. The producers like you're the front line now. You're the one that has to go out and find the new artists and develop them and write and get them to the point, because the labels aren't doing a lot of artist development, which is obviously why Music 180, one of the reasons why Music 180 exists.
Well, absolutely. I'm out there on the front line, but it wouldn't be the front line without major guys having me and supporting me and make sure I have the right deals. At the end of the day, at Music 180, it's about us producers, but then again, it's about having the great guys. Like, you gotta have yourself an Eric. If you don't have an Eric Galen, then what are you doing? You're gonna get screwed.
That's true.
Moreover, I've been in this business for a long time, and I had a lot of ups and downs, because it wasn't. I didn't always come in the game with an explosive attorney or an attorney with the no whiff that Eric has. So at the end of the day, I applaud you, sir, because without you, there wouldn't be guys like me.
Well, hey, man,
Thank
it
you,
all
sir.
starts with you. It all starts with you guys, man.
Yeah.
We attorneys and business people are just here to help you guys create great artists and great music. Hey, Paul is asking Stevie, could you talk a little bit about how your career started and kind of how you got to where you are right now?
Of course. I take it back to the roots of it, to the essence. I grew up, listening to a lot of music. My dad, he's actually a bishop in the church, so I was always listening to music, and he had a gospel group, and I used to just doink around on the instruments a lot, and it just so happened I never stopped playing. I was always a player, and I remember hearing a group by the name of Jodeci, and Jodeci began on the radio, and I'm like, I'm doing these songs already in my head. And lo and behold, the first person I ever worked with was Jodeci, the group Jodeci. And I began working with Devontae Swing closely as a musician, showing him how to play the guitar, and we'd swap out chords on the piano, and I'd do vocals for those guys. And I went on tour with them, and then I met a guy by the name of Puffy Combs, Puff Daddy Combs. He was Puffy at the time, and from there, that's where a lot of the magic began in my career. I began working with artists like 112, Faith Evans, Aaliyah, Notorious B.I.G, Mariah Carey, Aretha Franklin, Lil Wayne, Jay-Z. The list goes on. I mean, kudos to a guy named Sean P. Diddy Combs, who showed me the ropes and who showed me how to take my talents into an 80 million plus million selling albums and 3 Grammy Award wins under my belt. You know what I mean? So yeah, my
Yeah,
career
yeah,
started when I was very young, but yeah.
yeah. Yeah, well, and I think that's what's so important, because it's what we always talk to people about is that, success, one, it doesn't happen overnight, and two, it never happens alone. And, for you, it was meeting a couple of the right key people that got you from here to hear, and obviously you had to put the work in between, but you were given some opportunity, and a lot of what we're trying to do here on Music 180 is help people make their own luck, you know. So now, instead of hoping that you walk into a show, they can just go directly to you and say, Stevie, what do you think about this? What, you know, give me some feedback. Do you think that I'm on the right track? Is this something you might want to work on? You know, so they can make their own luck.
Well, well, Eric, if I may, you know, I'd like to say, as a producer, as a writer, as a musician, as a performer, music180.com is by far the best forum for a musician, artist, producer to get in the game. Hands down, because
you heard it here
you
first.
find everything you need.
Yeah,
You got everything
absolutely.
here at Music 180. If you're not a member of Music 180, hey man, you're not a member of anything. Really,
That's
serious
absolutely right.
business here.
You heard it from Stevie, man. You heard it from Stevie. Hey, Jack. Jack is asking, where do you start when you're writing a new song? Do you start with the lyrics, the beats, instrumentals? Tell us a little bit about your songwriting process.
Well, if I may, hold on. I'm gonna grab this guitar and I'll show you how we do this here. You know,
All
it might
right.
be, you know, I might come in with a melody. I might come in with a melody. I might just start. I might just pick up the guitar and start a melody right here. Oh, ooh. So it all depends. We could start with the guitar, or we might just start with a vocal. You know, we might be inspired by the way the wind blows. It's no telling. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
you know, it all depends on how the motion is, man.
Dude, I gotta
It's
thank you,
all
man.
about
That
the
was
motion.
you're the first person on Music 180 during a live chat to play something, which is awesome, man. So thank you.
Man,
That was great.
listen, if I had a drum set, in here and a Fender Rhodes and a Hammond B3, we'd be jamming here, man.
That's great, man.
Serious, man.
So you just kind of there's no set process for you. It just depends on what's inspiring you.
Right, because once again, we'll take it back. I've been in the game for a minute. I started very young, and it's like, I still haven't lost that thirst and that hunger to create. And a lot of times, people find it hard and they get a writer's block. Thank heavens, I don't get that, because I guess I'm just so
Wow.
in tune to the music. You have to be in tune, man. You got to be in tune with the universe, man. You just got to.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
No, that's
Yeah.
amazing, man. I think that's amazing, and I think it's great. It's great that it's great for you to share that with our audience. And as I said, anybody, if any of you guys want to get in and do, phone calls, you want to get feedback from Stevie, if you have a budget and you want to get in the studio with Stevie, hit us up. You can also contact Stevie, obviously through music180.com/Stevie J. If there are not any more questions, we're gonna probably cut it here. Thank you again, Stevie, so much for being on today. I think it's amazing for you to do this with us. And
Eric, man, once again, man, it's such a blessing for you. Just for me to have a guy like you in my corner who introduced me to a platform like Music 180 to be able to each one and teach one and share with the people. We want to give them what they deserve, and which is excellence. And here at Music 180, that's what we're going to do.
absolutely, man. Thank you so much, Stevie. Thanks for everybody that came, and hit up Stevie J on Music 180. I'm looking forward to hearing some new connections between some of our members and Stevie. All right, love you guys. See ya.
Let's go. Music 180, baby.